Uh, so my patient, 8-year-old female, she's resident of Faridkot. She's studying in first standard. She's a right-handed child, and the informant is patient herself and her mother, and which both of them are reliable. She presented to us with complaints of weakness of lower limbs from last 2 years and weakness of upper limbs from last 6 months. So patient was apparently normal around 2 years back when her parents noticed that when she used to play while sitting on the floor, she found it difficult to get up and started using the support of her one hand in order to do so. About 6 months later, she started requiring use of both her hands to get up from the floor. This difficulty has gradually progressed and worsened, and now she gets up slowly, putting her both hands on the floor and almost climbs upon herself to get up. 6 months into the illness, she also found it difficult to get up from a low-lying stool, and now she uses hand support to even get up from a chair. Around same time, she had also started to use her hands in order to get up from lying position in the bed. However, there is no difficulty in turning from side to side or lifting her head. About an year ago, that is about 1 year into the illness, her mother also noticed that she had developed protuberance of her abdomen with her back arching forwards. From last 6 months, she finds it difficult to climb up the stairs while she finds it easier to go downstairs. From last 3 months, she has started experiencing buckling at her knees while walking, which requires her to hold on to something to avoid falling over. And now she walks using the support of walls and surrounding furniture. There is no difficulty in wearing slippers, and there is no history of slipping off slippers with or without knowledge while walking. Earlier, she had started combing and bathing independently, but from last 6 months, she feels tired in her arms after combing her hair and finds it difficult to lift water mug and pour over her head while bathing. There is no change in her handwriting, no difficulty in tying her shoelaces, but buttoning or unbuttoning or breaking chapatis, etc. There is no history of breathlessness. There is no history of inability to close her eyes, blow air, or whistle. There is no history of thinning of limbs, abnormal twitching of muscles, or any diurnal changes in her symptoms. There is no feeling of tightness or looseness in her limbs. There is no history of numbness or abnormal tingling sensation anywhere. There is no history of drooping of eyelids, double vision, difficulty in chewing, swallowing, or speaking. There is no difficulty in holding urine, and there is no history of urinary retention. There is no history of any fever, rash, joint pains, oral ulcer. There is no history of excessive sweating, cold or hot intolerance, constipation, diarrhea, or any change in appetite. She was born at term via normal vaginal delivery. There is no history of any birth, any complications before or around her birth. Her immunization is complete for her age, and she achieved all her developmental milestones on time and is going to school since 3 years of age and is currently studying in first standard and is doing reasonably well. There is no history of any previous hospitalizations. Her family history is unremarkable. She was born out of non-consanguineous marriage. She has two elder brothers which are apparently healthy. No similar history among family members in previous 3 generations.
You have
Personal
to
history.
draw that family tree, pedigree chart.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I didn't draw it.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Personal history. She takes a mixed diet, has a normal appetite, and she has regular sleep and bowel bladder habits. She has not taken any medicines for her current illness, and there is no history of intake of any complementary and alternative medicine intake. So, in summary, uh, she's a 8-year-old female presenting with gradually progressive symmetrical proximal weakness, which is more in lower limbs as compared to upper limbs, and there is also history suggestive of truncal weakness and lordosis without any cranial nerve, sensory or gallbladder involvement. There is no family history of similar illness.
Yeah. Danish,
Yes, sir.
case. How do you approach this case? Go to the first slide. Now there is a 8-year female.
Yes, sir.
Hello. She
Yes.
presented with weakness,
Yes, sir.
both upper and both lower limbs. Now, how you are going to approach this case? So now I am asking you how we
Yes.
are going to how we are going to say it is a muscle disorder rather than neuromuscular junction or nerves or peripheral nerves or radiculopathy or
Yes.
spinal cord or in the brainstem or in the cortex. How we are going to rule
Yes,
out
sir.
one by one?
Yes,
How
sir.
we are going to approach?
Yes, first, sir, we should determine whether there are any associated sensory symptoms or not. So, first determining that it is a pure motor kind of presentation will help us narrow down the localization. So, my patient did not have any sensory symptoms.
By simple, I am asking you, what are the points favor for your muscle disorder?
So, one is pure motor presentation, pure
Okay.
motor weakness, and second is predominantly proximal kind of weakness, which is symmetrical, and
Okay.
uh, there is no diurnal variation in her symptoms, no fluctuations,
Okay.
and also there is no history of any tightness in her limbs, so which rules out or points towards lower motor unit pathology.
No, it is not like that. As tightness may come in muscle disorder also. If there is any calcification or if there is any fibrosis, that will lead to tightness.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, what are the other points you favor for your muscle disorder?
Absence of
Otherwise,
gallbladder
how
involvement.
do you differentiate between muscle and peripheral nerve? I am saying this is
yes,
a
sir.
case of CIDP or hereditary motor sensory neuropathy. How we are going to differentiate between the two?
With the neuropathy, there would be more of distal symptoms, though with CIDP, proximal symptoms can occur.
According to your case.
Yes, sir. In this patient also, with neuropathy, there would be distal predominant symptoms
Okay.
of proximal presentation, but still, I would keep CIDP in my mind, being because
Why
it's
you are
only
going to keep that? You said already there is no sensory involvement.
there could be motor predominant CIDP also, in which sensory involvement may be subtle, so that patient could not give history of her sensory symptoms.
Okay.
So, being a treatable cause and with the history 2 years, it's not very long. So just I'll keep it in my mind, a low differential to rule out in my examination.
Okay. Then how do you differentiate it from neuromuscular junction?
So with neuromuscular junction, there would be fluctuation in her symptoms, and also there would be presence of ocular symptoms like drooping of eyelid or double vision will favor neuromuscular junction. However, there are no such symptoms in my patient.
Whether neuromuscular junction involves proximal muscles or distal muscles?
Neuromuscular junction, can involve both
Predominantly?
proximal as well as
Yes.
distal.
Predominantly?
Proximal.
Yes. Example?
Sir, neck muscles, neck flexion, extension.
Okay, I'm asking the disorder causing proximal muscle weakness, neuromuscular junction.
Sir, limb girdle myasthenia.
Myasthenia gravis. Okay.
Sir, sorry to join late. Just now I joined. Dr. Mohan Kannan.
Sir, no issue, no issue.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Yeah, Dr.
Please
Danish,
keep
can
them-
you tell some differences between anterior horn cell and muscle disorder?
Sir, muscle disorder is more likely to be proximal and symmetric, while anterior horn cell disorders have more of a distal and asymmetric onset. And with the in anterior horn cells, there would be atrophy out of proportion to weakness, while in muscle disorders, atrophy is usually not as severe as in anterior horn cell pathology. And then in anterior horn cell pathology, there would also be fasciculations.
Good. What about reflexes?
Reflexes in muscle disorders, sir, reflexes can be retained up till late into the illness. Maybe they can be absent if advanced muscle disease. And in anterior horn cell disease, sir, if it's a if it's ALS, then reflexes may be retained or even exaggerated. But in
No. In anterior horn cell, anterior horn cell is
pure
not
anterior, yes, sir. Pure anterior horn cells, reflexes would be absent.
Okay, that's fine. Then what about the symmetry of the weakness? In what about in anterior horn cell and what about in muscle disorder?
Pardon, sir.
Symmetrical involvement of the
Yes, sir.
muscles.
Sir, muscle disease is more likely to be symmetric, and anterior horn cell has asymmetric
Good.
onset as well as during progression also is asymmetry is usually retained.
So
Okay.
just one question. You are telling about proximal muscle weakness in myasthenia. You are telling
Yes,
usually the fluctuation is seen. Like, but what is the pattern of weakness in limb girdle myasthenia? Limb girdle myasthenia.
It's a proximal weakness.
Okay.
Involving
Some clinical nature limb girdle.
So there would be fluctuation of symptoms, fluctuation of weakness.
Fluctuation is commonly seen in limb girdle myasthenia. So that is one very characteristic feature. If you see in limb girdle myasthenia, the fluctuation is characteristically absent in lot of patients. And also you will not see a lot of patients with extraocular muscle involvement or ptosis or even neck weakness may not be there. They will just have persistent proximal muscle weakness of upper limb and lower limb. So any patient who presents with your proximal myopathy like presentation, like upper limb, lower limb weakness, they say it's better to consider LGM also, limb girdle myasthenia also. So because it's a treatable condition, so that's why.
Yes. So fluctuations may not be there.
Fluctuation may not be there actually in limb girdle myasthenia especially.
Okay,
Unlike other
okay,
patterns of myasthenia. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
History, sir. Analysis over, sir.
No, no, no.
So he's analyzing history. He is
Okay.
ruling out one by neuroaxis. In the
Okay,
neuroaxis, he is ruling out now the anterior cell. He ruled out. He ruled
Okay,
out the
sir.
peripheral neuropathy. Now
Okay,
he
sir.
came to the muscles. He already said it is a muscle disorder, and now
Okay.
he has to go up to the spinal cord, brainstem, and cortex. He has to rule out one by one. You can ask.
So
You
there
can
is, yes, sir. So there is no sensory symptoms and no bowel bladder involvement. So spinal cord also is unlikely.
What else is against the spinal cord here? The pattern of weakness, is it typical of cord? Like when you get a human, which is more prominent? Like is it distal weakness or the proximal weakness? When you speak about cord, you're speaking about a human lesion, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, in
Actually,
human kind of weakness, there is involvement.
okay, so pattern of weakness is more of distal weakness in case of a spinal cord, right? Rather than symmetrical proximal, which is definitely against the spinal cord.
Yes, sir. So cord is unlikely here.
Okay. Now go to the history. Next slide.
Take each symptom and you can analyze.
So she, her weakness started with the difficulty in getting up from the floor. So which indicates proximal hip girdle weakness, and which gradually progressed over next 6 months or so. And
What is that sign? Is
uh,
that last line?
sir,
He's using all
yes, sir. She, sir, that
all her limbs and
almost describes the Gower sign.
so Gower sign is where do you see Gower sign?
So it's a pathognomic of dystrophinopathies, Duchenne's
Okay,
muscular
this is
dystrophy.
actually, some people say it is not only seen in muscle disease, it is actually seen in proximal hip muscle weakness, like hip girdle weakness. So it could be even a patient with a polyradicular neuropathy like CADP, like they can also have this sort of getting up from squatting position, all fours they can go down.
Yes.
So Kadilkar books, sir says actually it can be seen in other.
Yes,
It's not pathognomonic. It is just indicative of proximal muscle weakness.
yes, sir. So her this proximal hip girdle weakness increased in severity. That now she is having difficulty even from getting up from stool, and then progressively difficulty in getting up from chair. And she also started having some truncal weakness, that this difficulty in getting up from lying position indicates truncal weakness. However, her neck muscles are spared as she can lift her head. And this history of protuberant abdomen with arching back suggests lordosis, which can occur in any muscle disorder with proximal weakness and truncal weakness.
Okay. So it indicates mainly truncal and abdominal muscle weakness, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Then she also had difficulty in climbing up the stairs, and though it going downstairs was relatively easier. So
So which is
that
the
again,
muscle involved in downstairs and upstairs? Given Bradley only.
sir, going upstairs, we need hip flexion, so iliopsoas.
Okay,
For,
flexion. Okay, flexus. Okay. Downstairs, which will be the stabilizing.
sir, knee extensors,
Okay, knee extension.
quadriceps.
Okay, fine.
But from last 3 months, she has also started experiencing buckling at her knees while walking.
Buckling means what it is?
Uh,
What type of weakness it is in buckling?
said
You already said.
that she's not able to hold her leg in extension,
Then it is weakness of.
quadriceps.
That's right. Correct.
While
It-
there was no history suggestive of any distal weakness in lower limbs, she was able to grip her slippers well. And there was no slipping of slippers while walking. So then, 6 months prior to presentation, she started having symptoms in her upper limb. She found it difficult and felt tired while combing her hair, and while bathing, while lifting the water mug. She felt difficult in that. Again, suggesting of proximal shoulder girdle weakness. But there was no history suggestive of any distal weakness in upper limbs as well. And then there was no involvement of respiratory muscles. There was no facial weakness, no history suggestive of any facial weakness. Then there, from history, we can make out that there was no significant atrophy. There was no history suggestive of any fasciculations. She could neither appreciate tightness or looseness in her limbs. So there was no history of spasticity.
Any history of waddling gait was there? Abnormal.
So like family could not appreciate much of a waddle. I tried
Okay.
to
Which muscle is involved in waddling?
so gluteus medius.
Then
So when we lift our leg to take the step, so the pelvis on that side is supported by glutei, mainly gluteus medius.
simply say, you can say it is a hip abductors.
Hip abductors.
Waddling is just of hip abductors.
Yeah. There are many hip abductors: gluteus medius, minimus, tensor fasciae lata.
Yes, sir.
And what about inability to get up from chair? Which muscles are involved?
Sir, again, sir, knee extensors and hip extensors.
Yeah. Okay. And any ocular muscle was involved?
No, sir. There was no history of
Any oral muscles?
No,
Facial
no,
muscles?
no, sir.
How you will ask the history of facial muscle weakness?
So she denied any uh, inability to close her eyes, or she was able to blow air and blow a whistle.
Okay.
Which muscle holds chapel? Slipper slipping away, no?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Then which muscles are involved?
Sir,
What about in hands?
in
Hand
hands,
grip is given by
sir, the palmar interossea, sir.
and the same way. Which holds chapels?
Interossea, sir.
Intraossei, umbilicals, and tibialis posterior.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, good.
The facial muscles history, like you can easily, like day-to-day activities, you can just ask like drooling of saliva when eating, or you can ask like inability to spit after brushing. So these are like simple things you can ask in day-to-day history rather than asking blowing air and all. Like just what
Yes, sir.
you ask in history.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and also drinking through a straw or any funny smile like that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So she denied any, there were no sensory symptoms, no ocular or cranial nerve abnormality.
What else you will ask in positive and negative history of muscle disease?
So in positive history, any history of fasciculations or tightness or diurnal variation.
Okay. Any muscle pain, myalgia, cramps,
Yes, sir.
contracture, any red color urine, Coca-Cola urine.
Right, sir.
Why do you ask all this? Like, is there any need, like any significance in each of these?
So red colored or cola colored urine to rule out rhabdomyolysis and myoglobinuria.
Okay, in which disorder it is seen?
Sir, it can be seen in many muscular dystrophies due to muscle breakdown, and
Like
yes. Sir, in dystrophinopathies, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, in limb girdle muscular dystrophy.
Usually metabolic myopathies are can have.
yeah.
And where do you see these cramps, muscle pain?
Cramps also, sir, in metabolic myopathies. And,
No, that is. So you're telling about contractures. What is how is cramps different from contracture?
so cramps are transient symptoms uh, when
So basically,
muscles.
cramps are symptoms of. Okay, cramps are symptoms mainly of neurogenic disorders. So there is severe electrical activity. When you do an EMG, there is electrical activity which is going on. And, whereas the contractures is mainly of myopathic, glycogen storage disorders. Because of these myopathies, metabolic myopathy, you will get contractures. If you do a EMG in this contracture, you will mainly have electrical silence.
Okay, sir.
Mainly in myopathies, metabolic myopathy, you get contractures. In MND and other polyradicular neuropathies, you get cramps. They're more prone for cramps.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, where you will see cramps in which muscle disorder?
Yes.
Metabolic myopathies and hypothyroid.
Yes, sir.
And some neuromuscular disorder also you can see. And contracture where you will see.
Contractures, sir, in muscular dystrophies like in Duchenne's muscular dystrophy also we see early ankle contractures.
Early contracture is seen in which?
Embry-Dreyfus muscular dystrophy.
Okay. What are the other symptoms you will ask? Any history of any myotonia is there? What is myotonia?
Sir, myotonia is defined as inability. It is just a delayed relaxation after a sustained contraction.
Okay, what are the disorders associated with myotonia?
Sir, myotonia congenita and other channelopathies like paramyotonia and myotonic dystrophy.
Okay. Also seen in hyperkalemia and hypothyroid also. What is Schwartz-Jampel syndrome?
Sorry, sir.
Schwartz-Jampel syndrome. It is myotonia with osteochondral dysplasia.
The Anderson-Tavy is then some people who are asked the name syndromes, they can ask that also. Anderson-Tavy syndrome.
Yeah.
So just go through. Yeah.
So that is, I think, hyperkalemic periodic paralysis with cardiac involvement.
Yeah. Okay.
Dysmorphia.
Which myopathies will have distal involvement? Distal weakness in upper limb, distal weakness in lower limb.
Distal weakness in lower limbs can be seen in facioscapulohumeral dystrophy.
No. Distal weakness in upper limb. Upper limb.
Sir, in upper
distal
limb.
weakness in lower limb is facioscapulohumeral or scapuloperoneal?
Scapuloperoneal.
FSHD has predominant. Okay. FSHD has predominant proximal weakness in lower limb, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
In upper limb, sir.
Distal weakness in upper limb, you tell first.
Sir, myotonic dystrophy can have distal weakness in upper limbs.
Yeah.
What else?
And so then there are other distal predominant myopathies like GNE, Wielander's
Inclusion
myopathy.
body, one which has distal upper limb and proximal lower limb weakness, right?
Yes, sir.
IB.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, distal lower limb weakness.
No,
sir, anything else? Distal upper limb weakness?
Distal upper limb mainly inclusion body, myositis, myotonic dystrophy, Wiellander.
Okay. So distal lower limb, any can you just name some, doctor?
Miyoshi's myopathy.
Yeah, Miyoshi.
GNE myopathy. Even Embry-Dreyfus.
No, Embry-Dreyfus. Nonaka, Miyoshi.
Yeah, all the
Laying myopathy. Wood myopathy.
Laying and wood, yes, sir.
So of these, what is the peculiar feature of this Miyoshi myopathy? Of all these distal myopathies? That is the only
Yeah.
one to involve your posterior
Which
compartment.
compartment?
Posterior compartment is involved in Miyoshi. The rest everything is anterior compartment involved.
What are the myopathies with scapuloperoneal distribution involvement?
Scapulohumeral, sir.
Scapuloperoneal distribution. Proximal upper limb and distal lower limb.
So, the scapuloperoneal muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
So sometimes, in some cases of facioscapulohumeral, also there is sometimes distal leg
Yeah.
involvement.
Yeah.
Wrong.
And
So
other
please take. Yeah.
other like EDMD and LGMD, calpenopathy, and some mitochondrial. And what about distal arm and proximal leg weakness? Yeah, somebody answered. Inclusion body myositis. What about ocular involvement with myopathy? Which disorder it is seen?
Oculopharyngeal muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
And sir,
Mitochondrial will be seen, right?
yes, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Mitochondria.
mitochondrial, myotonic dystrophy. And
So what is the peculiar feature of these myopathies involving extraocular muscles when compared with your NMJ or MFS, Miller-Fisher syndrome? There also you get extraocular muscle involvement. Here also you get extraocular muscle
So there
involvement.
would be
What is
no diplopia in
okay? Why is there no diplopia?
with sir, they are slowly insidiously developing, so there is
Symmetrical. Is it
symmetrical.
symmetrical?
Yes, sir.
Symmetrical
Symmetrical on
involvement.
both sides. Yes.
okay, what are the causes of myopathy with atrophy?
Myopathy with atrophy, sir, can be seen in inclusion body myositis and
Mostly calpenopathy
calpenopathy.
and some other disorder like selective atrophy of some muscles
Yes.
like sarcoglycanopathy, dysferlinopathy. They will involve some peculiar muscle. Like in dysferlinopathy, only calf and hamstring atrophy.
Yes, sir.
In FSHD, according facioscapulohumeral dystrophy, and in myotonic dystrophy, only facial muscle like hatchet face is involved.
Yes, sir.
What are the causes of hypertrophy? With in which muscle disorder hypertrophy is seen?
So sarcoglycanopathies, then dystrophinopathies.
What is pseudo hypertrophy
Neither
and what is true muscle hypertrophy?
So true.
endocrine disorder you get hypertrophy. Hypothyroid, lot of hypertrophy.
Hypothyroid. Yes, sir.
True, sir. Ask one question.
So true hypertrophy
True and-
is actual increase in number and size of muscle fibers secondary to uh, sustained overuse, and while pseudo hypertrophy is just a replacement of muscle fibers with fibrofatty tissue.
In which muscle disorder exercise intolerance will be seen?
So in metabolic myopathies,
Yeah. What is second wind phenomena?
No, sir.
In exercise intolerance, there are two things. One is brief exercise, one is long-term exercise. In which disorder brief exercise will have intolerance, and in which disorder long-term exercise will have intolerance?
No, sir.
Yeah, brief, somebody answered. Glycogen will be brief and long-term will be lipid metabolism. And what is second wind phenomenon? In which disorder it is seen?
No, sir.
Mostly McArdle syndrome. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the summary of this case?
So she's an 8-year-old female child presenting with gradually progressive symmetric proximal weakness, more in lower limbs, with history suggestive of truncal weakness and lordosis, without any cranial nerve, facial weakness, extraocular muscle involvement, without any sensory or gallbladder involvement, and with negative family history.
Dennis?
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
Dennis.
Yes, sir.
We have discussed about proximal weakness, distal weakness, muscle involved in various groups. The questions asked by your examiners are to be the same questions asked here. Now, the only one thing is missed here is the lordosis. They will ask about some weakness about lordosis. What is lordosis? What are the muscles involved in truncal weakness? They will ask. Simply, I will tell you the points because you are tired now. I will tell you the point. The lordosis or otherwise truncal weakness are due to either muscle weakness or due to anterior console disease. Both can produce the lordosis and truncal weakness. So predominantly in muscle weakness, it is hip-girdle weakness that leads to lordosis. But in case of anterior console disorder, it will be a camptocormia. You know?
Yes, sir.
Camptocormia.
Yes.
That means the
That's
bent
the
spine.
bent
So
spine on
they
during
will ask
walking.
about bent spine. What are the causes for bent spine? Whether it is anterior console disorder or it's because of muscle disorder, they will ask. The main differentiating point between the camptocormia in muscle disorder is by hip-girdle weakness. If there is a hip-girdle weakness, there will be a lordosis rather than camptocormia. So that point I want to tell you. Then they will ask about what are the truncal muscles you know. We know paraspinal muscles one thing. And otherwise you can say some truncal muscles like erector spinae. Then they will ask about the erector spinae, what are the nerves supplied, what are the functions of erector spinae, like that they will ask. You must read something from there also. So now other things we have discussed here, the proximal weakness, everything has discussed except the lordosis. That's why I added some 2 points. Okay, now you got go ahead.
Okay, Danish, can you tell me what sir has asked bent spine syndrome? In which disorder it is seen? One sir has already said anterior horn cell. And what are the myopathies with bent spine syndrome?
Sorry, sir.
Mostly seen in
muscle disorders causing bent spine. What are the muscle disorders you know for this bent spine?
yeah.
Don't know, sir.
One is IBM, other is Nemalin myopathy, and third is FSHD. This one patient I got in my exam, they have asked me this question. Bent spine syndrome is seen in IBM, Nemalin myopathy, and FSHD. And other disorder like other than myopathies, it is seen in
Parkinson's.
Parkinson, yes. Or some like idiopathic camptocormia.
Okay, sir.
Kyphoscoliosis is seen in congenital myopathy. But bent spine is characteristic of IBM, Nemelin, and FSHD. Okay. What are the other things which you have to look for? What is myokymia?
Myokymia is involuntary movements of muscle group.
In which disorder it is seen?
What is neuromyotonia congenita? Dennis?
So
You will definitely ask about myokymia and
peripheral
myotonia.
nerve hyperexcitability. Neuromyotonia is peripheral nerve hyperexcitability.
Okay, it is seen in myokymia is seen in Whipple disorder and some radiation-induced plexitis.
Okay, sir.
Okay, can you tell me the possibility, your differential diagnosis? First, tell localization and functional, physiological, anatomy. Okay, go ahead.
Functionally, it's proximal weakness, predominantly in lower limbs.
In this lower limb, upper limb, truncal, everything is involved.
Yes, sir. Proximal and truncal weakness, and weakness is more in lower limbs as compared to upper limbs. And
Okay.
physiologically, it's a lower motor neuron type of weakness. And anatomically, I would localize it to muscle. And etologically, it can be uh, muscular dystrophies like limb girdle muscular dystrophy, dystrophinopathies. Facioscapulohumeral dystrophy can sometimes present without any facial involvement. So then I would, considering her age and lower motor neuron kind of weakness, I would also like to keep possibility of spinal muscular atrophy. And it's a relatively short duration of 2 years. I would like to keep possibility of motor predominant CIDP. And also I would like to exclude hereditary motor neuropathies as well as metabolic causes like hypothyroidism and vitamin D deficiency.
Okay, can you tell me the points in favor of myopathy and point again these other things like SMA and CIDP and motor neuropathy?
So points in favor of muscular dystrophy, sir, history of 2 years duration, progressive and symmetric proximal with the presence of lordosis.
And what
SMA?
about SMA? Points in favor of SMA.
Points in favor of SMA is proximal weakness, proximal predominant weakness in a 6-year-old child, and point against is absence of atrophy and fasciculations. And inflammatory myopathy Again, points in favor are symmetric proximal presentation, but point against is absence of any other symptoms suggestive of rash or joint pains.
What else will be seen in inflammatory myopathy?
Muscle pain would also be there. And if we are suspecting dermatomyositis, then the cutaneous manifestations.
Yeah, in inflammatory, there will be other systemic involvement. What are the types of SMA?
So they are classified according to age of onset, from type 0 to type 4. So type 0, the onset is in first 1 month, and with also history of decreased prenatal movements, and they survive less than 6 months. Then SMA type 1 is onset within first 6 months and survival up to 2 years of age. They never learn to sit up, and type 2 is they
This
learn to
pseudomyopathic SMA. Which SMA is pseudomyopathic?
distal SMA, distal type of SMA. Sorry. Sir, type 4 is pseudomyopathy.
Yeah, onset is more than after 5 years.
Yes, sir.
And mostly involvement can be proximal or distal.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the type 5 SMA?
Type 5.
Finkel type SMA. Okay. What are the points in favor of CIDP and against CIDP?
Sir, points in favor are relatively short history. For muscular dystrophies, we are usually comfortable with history of many years. And
Type 5 is distal SMA. And Finkel is another different. You can read it afterwards.
okay, sir. And CIDP, again, sir, the weakness would be predominantly proximal and symmetrical, with truncal weakness as well. Points against are absence of sensory symptoms, and it is also rare in children. CIDP, more common in elderly, middle-aged and elderly.
So what is one point is against your LGMD, dystrophinopathies, FSHD, all these things? Is there any point against LGMD? Relative point against. So usually age of onset in
Yes,
LGMD is
sir.
usually adolescence and teens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Second decade. It's slightly earlier. Anything against dystrophinopathy here?
Sir, the gender of the patient.
Gender, okay.
FSHD, sir, there is no facial weakness, and it is symmetrical. Our patient seems to have symmetrical involvement.
Usually they'll have severe hypertrophy if it is undiagnosed long duration hypothyroidism. Calf muscle hypertrophy will be there.
Yes, sir.
We go for examination or sir?
One more you have kept hereditary motor neuropathy.
Yes, sir.
So, but your case is having proximal involvement.
Yes, sir.
So we can skip it, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, go ahead with examination.
So, general physical examination. Patient is conscious, alert, cooperative, and oriented to time, place, and person. Her blood pressure is 96 by 66 supine without any significant orthostatic fall. Her pulse rate is 98 per minute in right radial artery. It's regular and without any radiofemoral or radioradial delay. Patient is afebrile and has a normal respiratory rate of 16 per minute, regular. And there is no pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, edema, or lymphadenopathy. There are no skin or nail changes. There are no neurocutaneous markers, uh, no thickened nerves, and apart from lordosis, there are no other skeletal deformities like scoliosis, kyphosis, or hematose, or high arched foot.
Okay. What are the eye signs important in myopathy case?
So eye signs.
Yeah. Eye examination.
So extraocular muscle involvement, the movements.
Okay. Where it is in?
So it is in oculopharyngeal dystrophy and
Which myopathy?
so, the mitochondrial myopathy is CPEO, chronic progressive external ophthalmoplegia.
Yeah. Yes. What are the other eye examination? Important eye examination in myopathy case?
So, presence of any ptosis.
Okay. Color blindness is seen in which myopathy?
So it can be seen in present in facioscapulohumeral.
Yeah, Dr. Jatin has answered EDMD.
Oh,
Okay. Other signs like cataract is seen
cataract
in myopathy dystrophy.
yes, sir.
And some retinal changes and optic atrophy. It is also involved, important. Optic atrophy is seen in mitochondrial disorder.
Yes.
And what are the skin changes?
Sir, in inflammatory myopathies.
Yeah. What are the different type of rash
Sir,
in
the
inflammatory myopathy?
heliotrope rash, the
Yeah.
purplish discoloration of the upper eyelid, and
Yeah.
Gautrans papule, Gautrans
Yeah.
on the dorsum of on the knuckles. There is purplish discoloration.
Keloid is seen in which myopathy? Keloid. Yeah, somebody answered Ulrich and Bethlehem. Okay, go ahead.
Higher mental functions were normal with MMSE score of 30 by 30. Cranial nerves were also normal with normal olfaction bilaterally. Second nerve, there was normal visual acuity, visual fields, light reflex, as well as fundus examination was normal. The extraocular movements were intact with, there was no ptosis. And
Okay. You can go with CNS examination.
motor system on inspection, my patient was thin built. The bulk was symmetrical on both sides. On inspection, I could appreciate bilateral winging of scapula, which was symmetrical on both sides. There were
So
no
what type of winging of scapula you get in FSHD?
Okay.
Type of weakness?
How
Sir.
many types of there of winging scapula, and which muscles are involved in each?
So it can be due to weakness of either serratus anterior or due to trapezius weakness. And in trapezius weakness, the winging could be more due to abduction rather than forward elevation. In serratus anterior weakness, the winging is due to forward elevation.
There's one more rhomboidus winging also.
From importance. Okay, sir.
Just read about it. Yeah. So each one there is a specific
Yes.
posture, whether the lateral border or the
So
medial
then
border is protruding.
Facioscapulohumeral.
And also whether the upper border or lower border is prominent. So whether the medial border or lateral border of scapula is prominent or the upper border. So each one has a particular feature actually. Just go through.
Okay. Next slide.
So FSHD is symmetrical or asymmetrical?
Asymmetrical. Sir.
Okay.
So tone was normal to slightly reduced in all limbs. There were no contractures. Power in upper limbs, the abduction, flexion, and extension at shoulder was 4 minus bilaterally. Our power was grade 5 by 5 in elbow, wrist, as well as hand grip was also normal. In lower limbs, at the flexion and extension at hip were grade 2, and abduction was 4 minus. However, adduction was grade 3, bilaterally same. And in knee, both flexion as well as extension was 4 plus bilaterally. And in ankle, dorsiflexion was 4 plus bilaterally. However, plantar flexion was normal. Inversion at ankle were both normal bilaterally. Toe extension was slightly weak. However, EDB was not palpable.
EDB was not palpable, or there was no hypertrophy that we have to mention.
Yes, sir. It was not prominent.
Okay, in which disorder EDB will be vested? In which disorder EDB will be hypertrophy?
Sir, EDB prominence in face of toe extension would be seen in myopathies.
Yeah. And atrophy is seen
in neuropathy.
Yeah. Okay. Go to next slide.
Truncal weakness was appreciated as she required help in getting up from lying down position. However, neck flexion and extension were normal strength.
How you will check truncal weakness?
So from lying down position with hands folded over her chest, will ask her to attempt to get up.
Okay.
So
How to grade the truncal muscle weakness?
Sir, I am not sure exactly, but with how much support she uses in order to get up, whether she can, if she is able to get up with her hands folded in front of her, then it is normal. I was actually looking for this grading, but I could not find it.
Okay, go to next slide.
And sir, in order to get up, when she was made to get up from the floor, uh, she used both her hands, and then while getting up, there was a uh, abduction at hip.
What does it signify?
So that hip abductors are stronger than hip adductors, but hip abductors are relatively spared.
Any specific significance it has
So
regarding the etiology?
so it was first described in context of sarcoglycanopathies.
No, okay. Okay. But also seen in other LGMDs also it can be seen.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell one disorder where hip adduction is stronger than hip abduction?
Yes.
Usually dystrophinopathy hip
Yes.
adduction is stronger.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then, sir, deep tendon reflexes were all intact. The sensory, both superficial as well as deep sensations were normal. The cerebellar examination was normal. Planters were bilateral flexor. Gait, she walks with support of wall or furniture with Weddell as well as lordotic posture. Other systems like CVS, respiratory and GI were normal.
Okay, summarize it.
So she's a 8-year-old female child presenting with gradually progressive symmetric.
Sorry, so sorry for the interruption, but I just left in between. But in the lower limb examination of power, is there any differential weakness like hip extension, hip flexion?
Yes, sir. There is, sir, there is no difference in flexion or extension, but abduction was better than adduction.
Okay, thank you.
8-year-old female child presenting with gradually progressive symmetric proximal weakness, lower more than upper limbs, truncal weakness with lordosis, positive hip abduction signs without any facial weakness, extraocular weakness, cranial nerve, sensory or bowel bladder involvement, and negative family history.
What is the most important sign you picked up here? Like most important thing you picked up from the examination here?
Sir, hip abduction sign.
No, so differential weakness. Some muscle groups getting involved more than the other muscle groups.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, where it is seen hip abduction sign?
Sir, in sarcoglycanopathies as well as other LGMDs like in calpainopathy also it has been described.
Okay, what are the other signs you know in myopathy case?
So, on inspection, there can be in other dystrophies like valley sign can be there.
Valley sign, okay. Where it is seen?
Sir, in Duchenne's muscular dystrophy.
Due to which muscle involvement? Valley sign.
So there is prominent or spared serratus anterior.
No, atrophy of which fiber?
So there is atrophy of posterior axillary fold.
Yeah, posterior fiber of posterior deltoid.
Posterior deltoid.
Next sign.
Sir, Gower sign in Duchenne's.
Okay, Gower sign. Okay. Next.
Sir, then polyhill sign in FSHD.
Okay, which muscles are involved in what are the hills? 6 hills in polyhill sign.
Sir,
Due to involvement of which muscle?
so the hills are formed by
First, second,
prominent
third, fourth.
prominent trapezius.
First hill. Which one is the first hill? Yeah, inferior border of scapula. Okay, next. And infraspinatus hypertrophy. Okay, next. Next hill. Next hill is scapular spine. Third is acromion joint. Fourth is deltoid.
Deltoids.
Fifth is bicep. Sixth is brachioradialis. Okay, next sign. What is Pradhan sign? Due to hypertrophy of supraspinatus. Okay, what is calf heads on trophy sign?
No, sir. Calf.
Calf head on trophy. Seen in Miyushi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, what is diamond sign?
So that is seen in dysferlinopathy. There's a lump on quadriceps.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, what is the your final localization?
So final localization is muscle with the most probable etiology of muscular dystrophy with the as my patient has differential weakness and with the positive hip abduction sign, I would like to keep possibility of sarcoglycanopathy and also consider other LGMDs like calpainopathy, which can occur in which have onset in childhood. So both sarcoglycanopathy and calpainopathy can have onset in childhood. So, and also have a positive hip abduction sign. So I would like to keep these two possibilities. But
Okay, okay. Any investigation you have done in this case?
So this patient only agreed for basic investigation as well as NCV and EMG. So she refused for genetic testing due to cost
Okay,
issues.
any positive finding was there?
Sir, CPK was sir, around 4,800
Okay.
units per liter, and
Okay,
NCV.
where you can find such high CPK?
Sir,
Which myopathy?
Sir, in dystrophinopathies and then in LGMDs, usually autosomal recessive have higher levels of CPK as compared to autosomal dominant types.
Yeah. Very high level is seen in
Dysferlinopathies, yes, sir. The levels may be 100 times normal.
Okay. Okay. Anybody is having any other questions?
Sir, please explain about differential weakness again. One of the favorite questions of examiner.
Yeah, Dr. Danish, can you tell?
Differential weakness sir, means there is selective involvement of some muscles with sparing of other muscles. For example, in this patient, there was hip adductors were involved, and the hip abductors were relatively spared.
Why? Can you explain more about that? शैलेश सर, ये खड़ेलकर सर का फेवरेट
Yeah.
right? And pedigree chart, okay, if you don't have time to upload in the PPT, okay, but if you don't draw the pedigree, it is not at all acceptable for examiner.
Yeah. Many myopathies, they will involve selective group of muscle like calcinopathy. They will have generalized muscle atrophy, and selective muscle involvement is seen in some disorder like sarcoglycanopathy, where there will be differential involvement of hip adductors, and some dysferrinopathy. They involve calf and hamstring, and some, as we see the previous discussion, Miyoshi will involve posterior calf, and other all distal myopathy, they will involve the anterior compartment. Like this, FSHD will involve facial, scapular, humeral, and myotonic will involve the facial muscles and neck muscles. So, okay, we can close the session. I think there is one more session going on.
Briefly, just 2 minutes, discuss about how do you investigate for the completion sake.
Yes, sir. Important investigations to take up are CPK levels and NCV EMG, and to look for myopathic pattern, and to rule out common metabolic causes like thyroid, vitamin D deficiency, and then if we are muscle biopsy is also can be offered, but nowadays with if the phenotype is very suggestive, sometimes genetic testing can save us other investigations and can be actually cost effective by directly proceeding to genetic testing.
Okay, Dr. Mohan, Dr. Veda, please give your concluding remarks and we can close this.
They have left, I think.
Right. Shailesh sir, आप ही call close करो.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Danish, for nice presentation, and all participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ramakrishna, Dr. Mohan, and Dr. Veda. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you.